Vance Carter swirled the whiskey in his glass, the amber liquid catching the dim light of the penthouse bar. Outside, Ocean Drive glimmered like a strip of broken stars, traffic crawling beneath the towering skyline. "If the CEO goes splat on Ocean Drive," Vance muttered dryly, "it won't be my problem." Across from him, Marcus Hale didn't smile. "You're being paid to make sure it doesn't happen," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. "This isn't just another job." Vance took a slow sip. He'd heard that line before. Everyone thought their job was different. "What's his name?" Vance asked. "Ethan Blackwood, 38, tech billionaire, genius, arrogant, and currently the most wanted man by people who don't miss." Vance raised an eyebrow. Vance Carter swirled the whiskey in his glass, the amber liquid catching the dim light of the penthouse bar. Outside, Ocean Drive glimmered like a strip of broken stars, traffic crawling beneath the towering skyline. "If the CEO goes splat on Ocean Drive," Vance muttered dryly, "it won't be my problem." Across from him, Marcus Hale didn't smile. "You're being paid to make sure it doesn't happen," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. "This isn't just another job." Vance took a slow sip. He'd heard that line before. Everyone thought their job was different. "What's his name?" Vance asked. "Ethan Blackwood, 38, tech billionaire, genius, arrogant, and currently the most wanted man by people who don't miss." Vance raised an eyebrow. "Sounds charming." Marcus slid a thin file across the counter. "He arrives tonight. You'll be his shadow. No attachments, no questions." Vance's fingers brushed the file, but he didn't open it yet. "And the promise?" he asked. Marcus's gaze hardened. "You know the promise." Vance nodded. He knew it all too well. Across the city, Lena Cross stood at her apartment window, gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. 3 missed calls, no messages. She whispered, "You said you'd call." Rain streaked down the glass like tears she refused to shed. The city felt louder tonight, angrier, as if something was about to break. She turned away from the window, unaware that her life was already drifting toward a collision she couldn't see coming. At precisely 9:17 p.m., a black sedan rolled to a stop beneath the glowing entrance of the Blackwood Tower. Ethan Blackwood stepped out, adjusting his coat with effortless confidence. Cameras flashed, assistants rushed forward. Power followed him like a shadow. And behind him, unnoticed, silent, Vance Carter took position. The promise echoed in his mind. You and me, no matter what. He didn't know yet how badly it would be tested. Vance Carter hated elevators. Too quiet, too slow, too many places for things to go wrong. The private elevator climbed smoothly toward the top floors of Blackwood Tower. Soft instrumental music played, completely at odds with the tension thickening the air. Ethan Blackwood stared at his phone, scrolling through messages he had no intention of answering. "You always this quiet?" Ethan asked without looking up. "Only when I'm working," Vance replied. Ethan smirked. "Then this is going to be a long few weeks." The elevator chimed. Doors slid open to reveal a glass-walled penthouse overlooking the entire city. The view was breathtaking, but Vance didn't admire it. His eyes swept the room, mapping exits, blind spots, reflections. "Impressive, right?" Ethan said, spreading his arms. "I built this place from nothing." "Nothing doesn't usually come with enemies," Vance said. That made Ethan pause. "So Marcus told you?" "He told me enough." Ethan walked toward the bar, poured himself a drink, then hesitated. "You want one?" Vance shook his head. "Not on duty." Ethan studied him. "You don't trust yourself?" "I trust myself," Vance said evenly. "I don't trust situations." Ethan laughed softly. Fair. Later that night, the city fell into a restless half-sleep. Vance stood on the balcony, rain misting his jacket. Below, headlights sliced through the darkness. That's when he felt it, the subtle shift, the wrong kind of quiet. His hand moved to the concealed weapon under his coat. "Ethan," he said calmly into the earpiece, "step away from the windows." "What? Why?" "Now." A sharp crack shattered the night. Glass exploded inward. Vance lunged, tackling Ethan to the floor as the bullet screamed past where Ethan's head had been a second earlier. Alarms blared. Security poured in. Ethan stared at Vance, breath ragged. That was a sniper. Yes, and that was a warning shot. A warning? Ethan's voice trembled. If they wanted you dead, you'd already be gone. Across town, Lena Cross jolted awake. Her phone buzzed this time, not with a call, but a news alert. Breaking: attempted assassination at Blackwood Tower. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She read the name twice: Ethan Blackwood. No, she whispered. Memories she'd buried clawed their way back. Shared laughter, late nights, promises spoken too easily. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Lena, it's me." Her breath caught. "Ethan, are you in danger?" "Yes," he admitted, "and I need you." Vance watched Ethan end the call, his jaw tight. "You just broke the rules." Ethan met his gaze. "I just involved the only person I trust." Vance's chest tightened. Attachments. The promise echoed again in his head, louder now. Don't let anyone get close. And yet, it was already too late. Lena Cross hadn't stepped inside Blackwood Tower in 3 years. Yet the moment she entered the lobby, everything came rushing back. The scent of polished marble, the soft hum of money and power moving through the air. Vance Carter noticed her instantly. She didn't look like someone who belonged in a war zone, but her eyes carried the kind of strength that came from surviving disappointment. "That's her," Ethan said quietly. Vance nodded. "He shouldn't be here." "She's already involved," Ethan replied. Lena stopped a few feet away, her gaze locking onto Ethan. Relief flooded her face, followed quickly by anger. "You disappear," she said, voice shaking, "and the next time I hear your name, it's on the news?" "I was trying to protect you," Ethan said. She laughed bitterly. "You always say that." Vance cleared his throat. "We don't have time for this." Lena turned to him. "And you are?" "Someone keeping him alive," Vance said. She studied him for a long moment. "Then do your job better." For the first time in a long while, Vance almost smiled. That night, they moved Lena into the penthouse under heavy security. Vance didn't like it. More people meant more variables, more chances for mistakes. He watched Lena as she unpacked, noticing how she checked locks, how she stood near exits. She wasn't naive. "You used to live like this," he said. She glanced at him. "With Ethan? Yes. With danger? No. You're in it now." She met his eyes. "So are you." Hours later, while the city slept, Vance reviewed surveillance footage. That's when he saw it. A guard, one who shouldn't have been there, touching his earpiece twice. A signal. "Marcus, your team's compromised." Static. Then, "How bad?" "Bad enough that someone inside wants Ethan dead." Vance's jaw tightened. This wasn't random. This was personal. In the kitchen, Lena poured herself water when the lights flickered. Then the power went out. Darkness swallowed the penthouse. "Ethan!" she called. Before Vance could reach her, a figure emerged from the shadows. A hand grabbed Lena's arm. She screamed. The promise shattered in Vance's mind. He moved without thinking. 1 strike, 2. The attacker crumpled. Emergency lights snapped on. Lena stood frozen, shaking. Vance gently placed his jacket around her shoulders. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, eyes wide. "You saved me." Vance swallowed. He wasn't supposed to care, but he already did. From the floor, the attacker coughed and smiled. "This isn't about Ethan. It never was." Vance leaned closer. Then who is it about? The man's eyes flicked to Lena, and then he went still. The silence after the attacker died was heavier than the darkness had been. Lena's hands trembled as she clutched Vance's jacket tighter around herself. "He looked at me," she whispered. "Why did he look at me?" Vance didn't answer right away. He was staring at the dead man's face, memorizing it. Fear wasn't what he saw there. It was recognition. "Ethan," Vance said, straightening, "who did you really make enemies with?" Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "I don't know. Investors, competitors, people who lost money?" "That man didn't care about you," Vance said. "He cared about her." Lena's breath hitched. "I've never done anything to anyone." Vance met her eyes, not knowingly. Marcus arrived within minutes, security locking the floor down. "This changes everything," Marcus said after hearing what happened. "If Lena is the target, we move her." "No," Ethan said immediately. "She stays with me." Marcus frowned. "Your feelings aren't relevant." Ethan stepped forward. "They are if she dies because of your bad intel." Vance cut in. "Arguing won't help. We need answers." They got them faster than expected. Vance recognized the tattoo on the attacker's wrist once the medical team rolled the body. A black serpent wrapped around a dagger. His blood ran cold. "I know this symbol," Vance said. Marcus stiffened. "That's not possible." "It is," Vance replied. "That's the Covenant." Lena frowned. "What's that?" "A private kill network," Vance said. "They don't take contracts unless there's a personal debt involved." Ethan looked between them. "So someone wants revenge?" "Yes," Vance said, "and Lena is the reason." Memory slammed into Vance's mind. Fire, screams, a night he never talked about. "You promised," Marcus said quietly. "You said you were done with them." "I was," Vance replied, "until now." Lena watched him closely. "What aren't you telling us?" Vance hesitated. Then he said it. 3 years ago, I protected a woman during a Covenant hit. She survived." Lena's face drained of color. "That woman," Vance continued, "was you." The room spun. "That's impossible," Lena whispered. "I was in a car accident." "Yes, an accident meant to kill you." Ethan stared at her. "You never told me." "She didn't know," she said, tears forming. "No one told me." Vance's voice was low. "The Covenant never forgets a failure. They're finishing what they started." Lena wiped her tears, her fear hardening into something stronger. "So this is my life now?" Vance met her gaze. "No." She blinked. "What do you mean?" "This time," he said, "I'm not just protecting you." The promise echoed again, but this time it felt different. You and me. And he knew exactly what it would cost him. They moved before dawn. No announcements, no lights, no goodbyes. A convoy of unmarked vehicles slipped through the sleeping city, rain masking their escape. Vance rode in the front seat, eyes constantly scanning mirrors, rooftops, shadows. Lena sat in the back, silent. "You okay?" Ethan asked softly. She nodded, then shook her head. "I don't know how to be." Vance glanced back. "Fear keeps you alive. Don't fight it." She met his eyes. "You sound like someone who's lived with it a long time." "Too long." The safe house sat beyond the city limits, concrete, steel, and secrets. Marcus laid out the plan. "We wait, we track Covenant communications, we draw them out." "And if they come first?" Lena asked. Vance answered, "They will." As if summoned by his words, the power cut out. Again. Vance cursed under his breath. "They found us." Gunfire ripped through the walls. Ethan was dragged to cover. Lena froze for half a second, then moved, exactly where Vance shouted. The night exploded into chaos. Vance fought like a man with nothing left to lose. When it was over, the ground was littered with bodies. and Marcus was gone. They found him an hour later, alive but barely. "They took the data," Marcus whispered. "Your past, Vance. Everything." Vance closed his eyes. The Covenant now knew who he was, who he loved, what he feared. Lena knelt beside him. "This is my fault." "No," Vance said firmly. "This is mine." She looked at him. "Then let me help." He wanted to refuse. Instead, he nodded. That night, Lena stood on the balcony of the safe house, the wind cold against her face. Vance joined her. "You should hate me. If I'd stayed away, none of this—" She turned to him. "You saved my life, twice." He swallowed. "Saving you means breaking the promise." She tilted her head. "What promise?" He met her gaze, eyes unguarded for the first time. "That I'd never let anyone matter this much again." Silence stretched between them. Then she said softly, "Maybe some promises are meant to be broken." Vance looked out into the dark. For the first time, he didn't disagree. Morning came without peace. The safe house smelled of smoke and blood that no amount of cleaning could erase. Vance stood over a digital map, Covenant symbols blinking like open wounds across the screen. "They're not hiding anymore," Ethan said. "They want us to see them." Vance nodded. "They want me." Lena crossed her arms. "Then we stop running." Marcus's absence weighed heavily. Without him, command fell to Vance. "We don't attack blindly," Vance said. "We bait them." Ethan stiffened. "Using me?" "No," Vance replied, eyes on Lena. "Using her." Lena didn't flinch. "I'm listening." The plan was simple and dangerous. A public appearance, controlled exposure, enough to force the Covenant into making a move. 2 hours later, Lena walked into a charity gala under blinding lights and false smiles. Vance never left her side. "You don't have to do this," he murmured. She looked up at him. "You'd do it for me." He had no answer. The first shot came from the balcony. Vance reacted instantly, shielding Lena as panic tore through the crowd. But the shooter wasn't aiming for her. He was aiming for Ethan. Vance saw it too late. Ethan went down. Blood bloomed across his shirt. "No!" Lena screamed. Vance dragged her to cover, his mind racing. This wasn't the Covenant's usual style. "This is wrong," Vance muttered. And then he saw her. A woman in red, calm amid chaos, watching Vance with a knowing smile. His past had found him. Later, in the hospital corridor, Vance finally said her name. Naira Vale. She stepped forward, heels echoing. "Hello, Vance. Still breaking promises?" Lena stared between them. "You know her?" Vance said. "She trained me. Then she sold me out." Naira smiled. "Correction. I survived you." Naira leaned closer. "The Covenant doesn't want Lena dead anymore." Vance's blood ran cold. "Why?" "Because killing her would end your suffering," Naira said softly. "We want you to choose." Lena whispered. "Choose what?" Naira's eyes burned into Vance's. "Us or her?" Vance watched Lena, vulnerable and brave, standing in the crossfire of his past. The promise burned in his chest. This time, there would be no safe choice. Ethan survived the surgery, but barely. Machines kept rhythm for a heart that refused to give up. Lena sat beside his bed, her fingers wrapped around his, whispering words only he could hear. Vance stood outside the room, every instinct screaming at him to run, to fight, to burn the world down if he had to. Naira Vale waited at the end of the corridor. "You've always been predictable," she said. "You protect, you sacrifice, you break." Vance didn't look at her. "What do you want?" She smiled. "Loyalty." "To murderers?" to family," Naira corrected. "The Covenant raised you. They ruined me. They made you." Vance turned to face her, eyes cold. "Say your terms." Naira's smile widened. "Come back to us. Lead the final operation. Lena lives, Ethan recovers, everyone else stays safe." "And if I refuse?" Naira leaned in. "Lena dies slowly, publicly." Vance's fists clenched. He went to Lena that night. She looked up, immediately reading his face. "They made you an offer," she said. He nodded. "You don't have to protect me anymore," she whispered. "I won't be the reason you lose yourself." He knelt in front of her. "You're the reason I found myself." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Then don't leave." His voice broke. "If I stay, you die." Silence swallowed them. Finally, she said, "Then go." At dawn, Vance returned to Naira. "I'll do it, on one condition." She raised an eyebrow. "When this is over," he said, "the Covenant ends." Naira laughed softly. "You never stop dreaming." But she extended her hand. Vance took it. The promise shattered completely. As Vance disappeared into the Covenant's world of shadows, Lena stood at the hospital window, feeling something inside her tear. She didn't know if she'd ever see him again. But she knew one thing. Love had never felt this dangerous. The Covenant's headquarters didn't exist on any map. It was buried beneath an abandoned industrial district where rust and concrete hid secrets older than law. Vance walked its corridors like a ghost returning home. "Welcome back," Naira said, walking beside him. "You still remember the rules." Vance didn't respond. He was already planning their destruction. Training resumed immediately. No mercy, no rest, no names. Vance proved why he'd once been their best. Every mission he completed tightened the leash around his throat and loosened it around Lena's. Naira watched closely. "You hesitate." "I calculate," Vance replied. She smiled. "Careful, calculation gets people killed." Meanwhile, Lena refused to wait. With Ethan slowly recovering, she dug into the past Marcus had died protecting. Hidden files, dead servers, names that led nowhere until one did. Project Promise. Her breath caught. It was a list. Children recruited, trained, broken. Vance Carter was on it. So was Naira Vale. So was Marcus. So was someone else. A name she recognized. Her hand shook. "This can't be a coincidence," she whispered. Deep underground, Vance received his final assignment. "Eliminate the leak," Naira said. "A woman digging where she shouldn't." She slid a photo across the table. Lena. Vance's heart stopped. Naira's eyes searched his face. "Do it, and you're free." That night, Lena felt it, the sense of being watched. A shadow detached itself from the darkness. She turned. "Vance?" He stepped into the light. "I came to end this," he said. She smiled sadly. "Me too." They stood facing each other, everything unspoken burning between them. "Are you here to kill me?" she asked. He shook his head. "I'm here to destroy them." Sirens wailed in the distance. The war had begun. Explosions ripped through the underground facility like thunder trapped beneath the earth. Fire alarms screamed, steel doors slammed shut. The Covenant, for the first time, was unprepared. Vance moved with deadly precision, clearing corridors while Lena followed the evacuation routes he'd memorized years ago. "You planned this," she said between breaths. "I had to, in case I never came back." They reached the central control chamber. Naira was waiting. "You chose her," Naira said calmly, gun raised. "I hoped you wouldn't. You taught me to survive, not to obey." Gunfire erupted. Naira was fast, faster than anyone Lena had ever seen. But Vance knew her rhythm. One final shot echoed. Naira fell. As she lay bleeding, she laughed softly. You really did break the promise. Vance knelt beside her. No, I kept the right one. Her eyes closed. Above ground, the city lights flickered as Covenant's systems collapsed. Ethan watched the news from his hospital bed. Looks like you won, he murmured. Lena shook her head. We survived. Weeks later, the safe house was gone. The danger was quieter now, but not forgotten. Vance stood on a cliff overlooking the ocean. Lena joined him. So, she said, what happens to a man who burns his past? He thought for a moment. He builds something new. She smiled. Together? He took her hand. Always. Epilogue. The Promise. They returned to the place it all began, Ocean Drive, glowing beneath the night sky. Vance stopped, turned to her, and said softly, No more shadows, no more lies. She squeezed his hand. It's a promise, she said. You and me. And this time, they meant it.